first episode of Must See. It's always good to do a show that even the audience is like, all right, let's get this shit over with, huh? It's good. Right out of the gate, we get that hot Kirk Minahan bump. No one wants to watch this show, which makes you wonder why we're doing it. But really, it's just a conversation. We're in the middle of coronavirus, so we need people to talk to about the movies and shows we watch. So that's what we're going to do every week. We've got, you people want segments from me. That's why I bring in a guy like John from Scranton. We've got segments galore. So what we're going to do is we're going to every week break down shows we're watching, shows we want to introduce people to, and we're going to let people introduce us to new shows. And we'll also ruin shows for people. So we'll get to all of that as we go. But we will start with some. I did say we've got Red from Maine here, of course. I guess I should introduce the other people I'm on the show with. And John from Scranton, who is now apparently, I guess Kirk 35. Was right. He's telling me he's now on 1,000 shows on the YouTube.
Kirk said that. And I am only on one show, and I help Red with the rundown, which I will be doing this week. Now I'm going to be on this show, my show. I kind of hop on Menner's show to help, which is tonight. So Kirk was right. I'm on about 15 different shows.
Well, I figured the world really needs more of you too. So that's the real reason I'm doing this. I'm lonely and I need people to see more of both of you.
Perfect.
So we will get right into it. First segment right out of the gate, baby. John is going to be our news guy. So he's going to hit us with some news, and he's also going to monitor the chat. So the 10 people watching. Make sure you hit in the chat, and we'll get to anything you want us to get to too. So John will be watching that. But first, the news. John, take it away.
So, like Mike said, guys, in the chat, if you want to ask questions, I will, if I think it's a good question, or by the time you guys ask a question, because there's about 10 of you here, I probably will just say it, but just put them in the comments. First topic of news, we have Peacock rolled out. I don't know if any of you guys have Xfinity, but it's free for Xfinity customers. Bunch of content on there, Parks and Rec, Office, all that kind of stuff, all the Universal stuff, everything Comcast basically owns. So
it's just their HBO Max, right?
Basically. Yeah. So I mean, that's rolling out, and then HBO Max, basically the trailer released this week. So I don't know. I mean, are you guys mostly streaming people, or?
I mean, now you have to be. Like, I watch cable. I'm trying to think of what I watch cable for. Like news. There's no sports now.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything I watch. Oh, Better Call Saul. I watched that on cable. We'll get to that in a minute. But that's the only thing I watch on regular cable now.
Yeah. Same for me. Like, sports is the only thing I would need cable for. And we don't have that any longer. I might not have it for the rest of this year. We'll see. But, everything I do is streaming. Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO, everything. So,
but the only way Peacock will be good is if they take everything off, everything else. Like if I can't watch The Office or Seinfeld or Parks and Rec or 30 Rock, then maybe I would get Peacock. But if all that shit is available on Hulu or Netflix,
so their idea behind
the point.
Their idea, from what I'm reading behind the app, was the app wasn't supposed to come out for about 3 months. That's basically when, so Netflix has right now, Netflix has Parks and Rec and The Office and that kind of stuff. I'd imagine that's when their deals and contracts are going to be up. Now, as of right now, they aren't, I assume. So they kind of just released this because of the situation that's going on. So
that's good. Well, everything NBC has done in the past with technology has been horrendous. So it's good that they rushed this and got it out as sloppily as they could.
To talk about that point, I mean, I opened up the Peacock app and it is a disaster operational wise. Like it's kind of like a Reddit. We have a Reddit on here right now. It's kind of like a Reddit thread. So it just goes down, and then there's 3 bars up top. It's horrendous. But
so there's the free option, right? Where you can everyone can watch with the commercials.
So there's 3 different options. You could do the free one, the premium, which comes to Comcast customers for free. Everyone else, I think there's a payment for that. And then there's a super premium or super duper secret premium one where everything's free, no ads. So,
all right. So it's basically just NBC. Terrific.
Yeah, basically you're getting NBC and all the Universal products are on there too. So movies wise, you're getting good stuff. So I think that'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to HBO Max a little bit more than that. But
all right. What else? What else we got going on in the news, John?
Yeah. Other than that, there's not much news going on in movie stuff. I mean, the only good news when it comes to movies and TV is Cinemark's planning on opening up theaters in July. I don't think that's going to happen.
That's the problem with all this shit is it changes every fucking day. I don't get why we're announcing. I guess it's like the Trump thing. It's to inspire optimism. Like, hey, movie theaters are open in July. I guess we'll be able to go. But then a report could come out tomorrow that says they'll all be on fucking fire by July. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing Justin told us is that the new Scooby-Doo movie is coming straight to demand. So
I gotta say, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't have a segue for it. I didn't have a reason to say it. But when I checked into this StreamYard broadcast, Justin is fucking holding court before I get in here. He's cracking wise and hanging with the fellas, and then all of a sudden I get in here and his demeanor changes. I don't care for it.
Well, as soon as you came in, he kind of scurried away, but he did make sure to mention the Scooby-Doo coming straight to demand.
Yeah,
so
it's swinging Dick Justin. But yeah, we'll make sure to get that on demand, Justin. Thank you.
Other than that, news-wise, I mean, I'm also going to go over the Netflix top 5, and that's kind of going to roll us right into our talk about what we're going over this week with some of the shows. So it is Netflix top 5 right now. Number 5 is still Tiger King. Crazy that's still lasting. I thought by now that would be done with.
So I watched that Joel McHale thing that they did with Tiger King, like the last add-on episode.
Ooh. Yeah.
And it wasn't great. Like, I didn't particularly like it, but I also wasn't really a fan of the documentary. But he was like getting legitimate shit for not doing like a hard-hitting interview with them.
Really?
Which I never understood. It's like, well, they wouldn't have brought in Joel McHale.
It's Joel McHale.
Anderson Cooper or something. Like, I don't know.
He's there to be sarcastic and say some things about the crystal meth and their team.
And like somewhat charming and also a bit of a wise ass. Yeah, that's just what he is.
Right.
They didn't bring in our guy Menners for this interview. Like, come on.
Yeah, right. If it's going to be serious, that's who you go to.
Number 4, we have Waco. I don't know. Did any of you guys watch Waco? I don't even know what it is.
I haven't seen it yet. I just saw it drop today, so that's why I haven't taken.
I wanted to watch it badly when it was on, but I think it was on like the Paramount Network or something.
Yeah, Paramount Network, early 2018. I swear to God, I never even heard of this.
No,
I wanted to watch. Who is it? Is Taylor Kitchen in that? Tim Riggins.
John Lasagna's in it. I can't even say his name.
John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo. Yeah, I call him John Lasagna. Michael Shannon. There's
Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon.
Yeah,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Michael Shannon's really good.
David Korsh. A bunch of good actors in it, but I've never even heard it.
That's a show that just got fucked because it was on a network that no one had.
Yeah, Paramount Networks is a low key underrated network.
I think it's gotten better now, but this was like their first show. I think this was like the Mad Men of Paramount Network. Like,
so I haven't heard of this, but Riggins is playing David Koresh. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, so Tim Riggins is in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's really pretty good.
Poor Taylor Kitchen. That's all I can refer. He was in that horrible season of True Detective too, but all I know him as is Tim Riggins.
I know.
So
good in that though. Texas Forever.
Number 3, we got Despicable Me, which is a movie I love.
Yeah, that's just on there because it just got.
Yeah, it must have just got dropped. Yeah. This is as of today. So
you say it's a movie you love?
I love that movie. I don't know.
9 years old?
Yeah, I'm about 10. I'm about.
How
10.
old were you when that movie came out? You're my age.
Yeah, no. I think I'm a year.
You're older than me.
I am older than you.
We were adults when that came out.
Honestly,
Steve Carell was a star when that movie came out.
It was a breakout role for him, buddy.
All right.
Number two is, we'll move past that embarrassing moment for me. Number 2, Outer Banks, another show I haven't really heard of.
I hear people talking about that. Is that, I assume, North Carolina Outer Banks? Is it like just the Jersey Shore of North Carolina?
Apparently, it's a CW drama. So I guess they just brought it over here. Yeah, it's on the Outer Banks.
Oh, it's a scripted show?
Yeah.
I just assumed it was reality.
So the definite or the summary for it is it's a disappearance, or a couple characters just investigate a disappearance while outrunning a wealthy group of teens. It sounds pretty crazy. I don't know. It's number 2 and it's been in there for a little bit. So
it sounds.
I don't know. Maybe something to check out for people.
Right
I'll
now,
tell you what, the picture of it, a lot of handsome people in this picture.
Oh, that's important.
One guy's got his shirt off, got big old abs on him. So if you're looking for some thirst traps,
I wouldn't expect that from a CW show.
Let me see if this gets you going here, get your dander up here, Mike. It's a group of teenagers from the wrong side of the tracks stumble upon a treasure map that unearths a long buried secret. How's that?
That's
good. That's great.
Right now, what I'm hearing is tomorrow on the show, Kirk says, so I'm listening to the fucking thing, and Mike doesn't even know the shows he's talking. He's doing a TV show. He doesn't even know the shows he's talking about. He doesn't know what Outer Banks is. Everyone's talking about that show.
Kirk's like, I fucking love that show.
And then what's number one? Because this will
number one, the show we're gonna transition into talking to right here, and I think something a lot of people are talking about. It's too hot to handle. So I don't know. You guys want to start riffing on that?
Yes. So this is the show I wanted to introduce everyone to. I told Red to make sure he watched it for this program.
Mm-hmm.
It's, if I may explain it for a moment,
Please.
it's basically, so it's a reality show, and they get 8 people together. I think they add and subtract people as it goes along, but I think they start with 8. And the plot is there's $100,000. It's a pot of $100,000. And they put these 8 strangers in a house together, and every sexual act that they do together, including masturbating. You can't masturbate, you can't kiss, touch, fuck, anything. Every time they do a sexual act, money is taken away from the $100,000 pot. They don't know how much money for each act. They find out after they do it. And you might be saying, if you're a regular human being, you might be saying, that's a boring fucking show because people will just sit on the couch for a month. But sure enough, luckily, they found the 8 people on the planet that within, I don't know, 9 minutes of being in the house are like, I don't know how I'm not going to fucking jerk off without, I don't know how I'm going to keep my hands off this bitch. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys, wait like a day. Like, try a day, see if you can get past it.
Just so you know.
You lost me?
We lost John.
Oh, all right. Well, John doesn't see it anyways. Red, what were your thoughts after watching this show?
I can't thank you enough for recommending this, Mike. My wife and I, we spent Sunday watching this thing in the afternoon and just binging it. It was right up our alley. It was we watched Love Is Blind as well. We watched that a couple months ago. It's the
another
same
good
thing.
one. I've never been into those shows, but I'm as I've been locked in the house for a month, I'm getting into them.
I don't know about you, but I grew up on The Real World. Loved Real World, San Francisco, everything else.
Oh, I love it.
And then even like the trashier, like there was
Road Rules,
obviously, but then like Paradise
I thought
Island.
you meant the trashier version of that, which
it
was
gets worse and worse, right? So this is right up my alley. So we're in there, and like you said, as soon as this thing happens, like the first night, there's a kiss for $3,000. Everything else. And the whole time I'm sitting there wondering, I'm like, oh, wow. So everybody gets $100,000 for this. This is really,
that's what I thought too.
Like,
yeah.
And then you find out like somewhere in the middle, like, no, it's just $100,000. That's it. Like, so you've got 10 people involved.
So at best, you win $10,000
right, for a month.
At absolute best.
10 times your stimulus check, people.
you can't be on the phone. You can't do anything. So the best part is watching these people just get sunburnt all the way through to there's 8 episodes. They're all just sunburnt. There's nothing to do but work out, sit in the sun, and you can't do anything.
So I dropped out for a second there, and I haven't watched this show yet, and I think this will be kind of a learning section for me. Is there competitions between them, or is there any type of
You know what? No.
So it's just them.
The competition is hot men and hot women being in the same house.
Nice.
And
sounds like Outer Banks.
Not being able to fuck each other. Can you imagine? I don't know, fellas. Can you imagine being in a house with a woman and not slamming your cock into her? Can you wrap your minds around that? Because I certainly
This is the most 2020 base show idea you can ever think of. Go in this house with a bunch of hot people and go not be a whore.
But this is the thing, right? So if you're used to The Real World, used to people like having a conversation, talking to each other. Now imagine 2020 where all of these people, like all the contestants, they're just Instagram models or what they call influencers, right? So they can't actually have a conversation with each other. It's just, and when they do talk to each other or to the camera, it's the dumbest shit you've ever heard. It's perfect. It's the best thing. I can't recommend this enough. It's the funniest thing to watch with your wife, your girlfriend. I don't give a shit. Like I can't get enough of this show. It's amazing.
And even the narrator is a little bit like, look at this fucking idiot, huh? Like the narrator's not no one is taking this seriously except for the people in the house.
And so I think I was looking this up. The Francesca.
I call her Francesca.
Thank you. She's got 1.7 million followers on Instagram right now. Like this is
They all do. Even the bitch, the one that hates everyone, Haley.
Yes.
She has like 50,000 followers on Instagram. Like they all
so they basically just took Instagram influencers and threw them in here. Or?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much
perfect.
what it is.
Yes,
they're
that's
all
2020 in a jar.
So here was the spin. I won't spoil the ending completely for everyone, but here the spin it kind of took at the end that I did not really care for is like you watch these people grow. Because you know how in a month your entire life changes,
growth,
and you learn things that in the previous 30 years of your life you didn't quite grasp. Yeah. Well, in a month with 8 other vapid morons, you managed to learn a lot. So it kind of takes a twist of like them. They all put a word on like a board of mean things they were called, and it's like fat, ugly, like it's very cliche shit.
Yeah.
And there was one quote from a guy where he says. He says, "You know, it amazes me that all these beautiful people could have bad things happen to them." And he says it like with a straight face. And that to me should be in the trailer because that
is the
just
trailer.
identifies the show. Yeah,
you just fucking sold me on the show. Like
it's the greatest.
So is this Netflix is running this, or is this a show?
This is Netflix. And think about how much money it probably actually cost them to do this, right? It's like low overhead. Probably the most you spent on was this paradise, paradise, this place that they had to rent out for a month.
Yeah, I'm sure they own it for other shows and shit.
Right. So you don't have to spend any money on it. And they dominated, like this past weekend, it was all over social media. It was all over Netflix. Like they just absolutely dominate the weekend too. And this week, like this has got to be Netflix.
Now, when did it get released? How long ago? Because to be up number 1, I mean, Tiger King, I liked, but
it's very new. I think the last week was the first week on Netflix. Like I think last weekend was the first week it was out. My only question about it is like, you have the $100,000 pot that they all get. Do those people get paid? Like you're there for a month. So I mean, I know they're all Instagram whores, but including the men when I say that.
Yes.
Yeah. But are they getting paid for that? Because you're away for a month. So they get like a salary or no? I don't understand how those reality shows work.
I don't think they get paid. There's no way.
You don't think so? I thought they would have to get something. You have to be paying them something to be on camera.
You're giving them a month of what they think is celebrity, right?
Right, they're becoming famous because of this show. Yeah,
and they're building their brand, whatever the fuck that means, right? When they're coming back, so like they're coming back to however many followers, like. Yeah. I don't know. It's just
we have
that is the best part that at the beginning you think they're all getting $100,000,
right?
And it's like, they're going to split it like 8-10 ways.
Yeah,
it's like
we have our first person view into what it's like to be an influencer around
right.
Like this is cool. This is good. It's good.
It's the best to watch the guys just go. I'm gonna have to fuck this wall. Like I am so rock hard and sexed up right now. Just take it easy, pal. Just jerk off in private. I don't know.
Yeah. This was a show about hot people made by a hot person talking about hot people things.
For sure.
That's kind of a sum up of that.
So
that's a good wrap up of that show. I'm actually looking forward to watching it now. I think you guys kind of sold me on it.
John, that's what we do here. We say on the shows we talk about. A show.
That's what we do. We do movies. Let's go.
Yeah, we have like a group chat preparing for the show. And I said, we're just going to do TV, not really movies. And then the next 9 suggestions I got were, how about this movie series? How about we watch this movie? How about we talk about this? I was like, I guess we're just doing movies now, too. It's just a viewing show. But a show, here's a pro segue. A show that slipped out of the top 5 is Ozark. I guess that's kind of cooling off now. Everyone's seen the 3rd season. I just finished. And it's gotten to the point where I know I was made fun of for my potential takes on this. I don't know if you guys have noticed. It's a bit like Breaking Bad. Dare I say it was heavily influenced by Breaking Bad. I don't know if you've heard that on Ozark yet. Yeah. But I do think they have gotten to the point now where it's broken away from that and kind of it's almost seemed aggressively like they're trying at times too hard to get away from the Breaking Bad thing. But what they've done with the wife really with Wendy, it's a reversal. It's a complete reversal of Breaking Bad, where now she's the villain, and I think at least that's an interesting angle that they've taken.
Yeah, I agree. I actually, it was interesting when that first came up when you guys were talking about it on the show. I thought about that in a way where I get tired of the criticism that you'll see in different areas that are the guys who are Howard Stern fans who think that Kirk is just a Howard Stern ripoff, you know? So for me, I always looked at Ozark the same way, where it's, you know, obviously clearly influenced by Breaking Bad.
But it's good enough that you get past that pretty easily, I think.
Right, and and I think it can stand alone on its own. Like, I think if they put together that next season, if they do season 4 and they leave it at that, and they put together a really good season, I think it's in the conversation to be right there with Breaking Bad. Like, I think, like you said, the character development with Wendy, I think, is far more interesting than anything they did with Skyler. And I think the Ozark kids, like, for me, Charlotte is the most annoying on that show, obviously, but it gets no more annoying than Walt Jr. Walt Jr.
is the worst character of all time. And I got to say, we talked about this on the Kirk Minahan show, and Kirk and Kevin kind of got me worried about. I hadn't seen season 3 at that time when we talked about it.
Right.
So I was worried about how much the kids would annoy me. I got to say, Jonah, I'm all right with. I think they make him a little too much of a badass. It's like, all right, the kid's fucking 15.
Yeah,
he's shooting people. He's shooting bottles. He's got fucking marksman like aim. That annoys me a little bit. But honestly, and Charlotte's obviously a bitch, and that's kind of her thing.
Right.
But the kids aren't in it enough to annoy me. Like Walter Jr. would come in and fucking judge his parents who are putting goddamn breakfast on the table for him every day and humoring this unfunny asshole every morning. Fucking Walter Jr. coming in with his just completely unlikable little quips that he has. Whereas these kids are at least down for the cause. You know, they're not throwing their dad under the bus just because they heard they shot his Uncle Hank.
Right.
Not pussies like Walter Jr.
And when I was listening to Kirk and Kevin go through that, I just kept thinking the whole time, like, I don't get caught up in the plot points as much, I think, as Kirk does. But for me, it's like, well, the family has to be a part of it in some way. Otherwise, I mean, what's Marty?
Then what's the point of it? Then we're just watching a guy launder money.
Right. And he could easily think about escaping with his wife if they didn't have any kids. Like, clearly there's got to be some stakes in it where this is really the only reason why Marty Bird is doing this.
Right.
Is he's not out for the clout, as they would say. He's not trying to build an empire. Not like Walter. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
no, he becomes the protective guy. The one thing that did annoy me about that is when he thinks he can flip the FBI agent.
Yes.
I mean, it ends up kind of working, but having that be your plan and having a cartel guy, like the head of the cartel, be like, all right, go ahead, give it a shot. That seems a little unrealistic to me.
And that's what I'll give Breaking Bad more credit in. They do a better job of showing the other side. Like, I feel like they do a good job of showing criminals and the cops, you know, the feds and everything else. Like, they do a good job of making that smart on both sides. But with Ozark, like, the FBI agents are dumb. Like, there's not a smart person to be had on the other side of the law. All the creativity, intelligence comes from Marty Bird and the cartel. So, you know, that's another difference that I would see that the Ozark kind of falls short on.
I have a question for you guys from, of course, it's from BA. Of course, he's the only one going crazy in the comments.
But I don't mind doing the show for him.
That's his job, right? So his question was, did you guys think the ending was predictable, and which was your favorite episode this season?
I didn't think the ending was crazy predictable. I mean, it had to be something. You knew it had to be something like that. They're not just going to fucking kill Marty Bird at the end of the show. So you knew it had to be something like that. I didn't find it tremendously predictable. I think it'll be more interesting to see what they do episode 1 of next season, because now they have to introduce a new villain, I guess. Favorite episode? I don't know if I have a favorite. The one thing I did want to say before I answer BA's question, you were talking about the FBI agents, Red?
Yes.
I do hate how, at least this season, they toned them down.
Yes.
I do hate how cartoonish the guy in the first 2 seasons was.
Petty.
Where he's like, you know, I was shoving my cock up your uncle's ass last year. It's like, all right, guy, why are you talking to a 19-year-old girl? Fucking relax. Like, be a pro about this.
I don't know who's giving him that direction or who was telling him, but I thought he was overboard in the first season. Yeah. And then the second season, he just ramped it up to a whole nother
wildly. Like, just as a viewer, you're like, this guy should have his badge taken away.
There's
like, this
no
does not
way.
Seem...
There's no way he could be an FBI agent.
But did one episode stand out to you this season?
So probably I didn't think it was that predictable, the ending of it. It felt like it was Ozark-esque, like they typically do that, where they leave you, with a bang, and then they leave you hanging till the next season.
Yeah.
But my favorite part was the brother. And so I would say probably I'm looking it up now. I think Fire Pink is it's episode 9, where he's sitting in the taxi cab and he is just having a breakdown, and he's completely bipolar and completely off of his meds at that point.
Yeah.
And he's just going off. Like that whole episode, episode 9 was my favorite. Like that one, I felt like
that's a good one. Very tension filled.
Absolutely.
You don't really, but I'll tell you what I hated about the brother is that it all happened too fast.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, Ruth does not seem like someone who's just going to fall in love at the drop of a hat. She knows this guy for what, a week and a half?
Right.
And all of a sudden it's, how can you do that to your brother? It's like, shut the fuck up. Ruth would never be like that. It just doesn't seem, that's where maybe they try to make her too much of the Jesse Pinkman, where all of a sudden she's like sympathetic and compassionate, but Ruth was never that. So you can't all of a sudden make her that with the brother. And I just don't like how fast it all happened. Like he shows up out of nowhere. There's no real explanation as to why he's at the house. All of a sudden he's just part of the family. And then like when he's gone, Jonah's like, oh, how could you get rid of Uncle Ben? It's like, oh, the guy you met a week and a half ago, you're that broken up about it?
Right. Well,
so that shit bothered me a little bit.
They did a good job of planting those seeds. I went back and watched the first season, the second season, and Wendy talks about him a little bit.
She does mention him, yeah.
Which is good, but I think you're right. Like if you try and cram this into a 10-episode season, I think that's what you end up getting when you have all these different characters. Like it just seems rushed. It doesn't seem natural. He goes off his meds one day, and then he just has this spiral, this free fall, which doesn't seem like it would be the case. And he's falling in love, and she's falling in love with him, and it's within the span of 3 episodes.
Yeah. And you talk about not liking the kids. Here's my prediction for season 4. The one thing we're going to hate is at the end of season 3, Helen talks Jonah into not shooting her because of what actually happened. And it's going to be how could you do this? How could you? That was my uncle. That was my Uncle Ben. And it's going to be them explaining to him why they had to do it. And he's going to be he's going to be the new Charlotte. That's really going to infuriate me.
I know.
So go ahead. No, go ahead. These are questions, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, I actually really enjoy the Jonah character and what he's kind of done with it. Like I said, the Charlotte, to me, I don't think she's well written at all. And I think the actor doesn't do a good job with it either. She's
also like 35 playing a 17-year-old.
Right.
Like, he just seems too old.
But yeah, I could see this Jonah arc going away that I don't want to see it, unfortunately.
Yeah. What I would like is that Jonah makes a jump into the business. Like he's running the money shit with Marty. Right. But I think it's instead going to be he becomes more sensitive. What was the question, John?
I got 2 questions. Now, one I'm kind of getting some clarity on, but the other one is would you guys bang the cartel lawyer?
I mean, sure, on a slow Saturday night in the Ozarks, why not? But I don't love her.
She terrifies me, but I think in a good way. I kind of dig that.
Yeah, I
kind of like. She looks like she could throw me around a little bit, tell me what to do. I kind of like her. She did.
I'll tell you what disgusts me. Speaking of fucking, the idea of Wyatt and Darlene together isn't a. I almost stopped watching. Like it's just like this is too weird. Why am I watching this?
Darlene is terrifying. A terrifying human being. That was the most disgusting sex scene I've ever seen. It was so bad.
Oh, I almost forgot. That'll be the villain next year. They're going to go to war with Darlene next year. That'll be the whole. And then it's going to be Darlene and Ruth. Ruth is going to turn against Marty. That's going to be the whole thing next year, is my guess.
Yeah, so our guy Z Harris, I imagine his name is.
Say our guy. I don't even know who this man is. I'm sure he hates me.
He's my guy.
Oh, okay.
My guy.
All right.
Is Layla or Lalo from Saul? Lalo from Saul, the guy from the first season of Ozark. I don't know which guy he means from the first season of Ozark, but is there a crossover there? Or?
Is Lalo in Ozark? I don't remember that. That is an excellent segue into our next program. We can start talking Saul now, but I don't know. Do you know that, Red? Is he? I don't know. I don't remember in Ozark.
When we,
I don't know which guy.
No. This is racist talking about. Is he? He's not Del from Ozark. Is that who he's talking about?
He's
I
definitely
don't
not
know.
Del.
He hasn't answered.
That can't be who he means.
No.
Well, if he is, he's a fucking racist. Z. But that is a nice segue into our third show of the night. Better Call Saul. Just watched the finale Monday night. I thought the finale was just okay. I thought the 2 episodes prior were excellent. And Breaking Bad's my favorite show ever, as some people know. I would put those episodes like Breaking Bad level. And I was saying to you before the show, Red, the ending of episode 9 of season 5 of Better Call Saul is like a top 5 scene in Breaking Bad / Saul history.
Absolutely. This is it's turned into everything I wanted it to be. I was so excited when Better Call Saul was announced, and I was so let down, especially the first 2 seasons. I recommend if anybody is watching who has not seen Better Call Saul, I would recommend just catching up on YouTube shows and getting through the first 2 seasons and just hopping in season 3 if you don't, if you can't stand it, because you have to be a really diehard fan to love the entire series.
Yeah. I compare it more to Mad Men than Breaking Bad in the sense that it's very, so the writing is excellent. The acting is excellent. You can respect how good it is, but it's just very slow and you get bored with it sometimes.
Yeah. The pacing of it is tough the first 2 seasons, but it picks up from there. And every season I'm more and more impressed with it. I loved this season, especially. You get to finally see, Saul Goodman there, like he's coming together. Mike is fully formed into what Mike is when you see him in Breaking Bad. And
you get to see Mike and Gus disagree, which you never saw in Breaking Bad or the early seasons of Saul.
Absolutely.
This was I would put this the only episode in the first 4 seasons I put at Breaking Bad level is the story of Mike.
Yep.
Where you originally learn about Mike's son and why he moved out to New Mexico and all that shit.
Yep.
That I would put Breaking Bad level. This entire season, I think, reminded me a lot of Breaking Bad in the sense that shit is happening in every episode. There's never a dull moment, really, where there were plenty of dull moments in the first 3-4 seasons.
And that's how good Breaking Bad is where you can take these characters and have a spinoff like this and have it be that good. Like, I think Mike is one of the best characters I've ever seen in TV. Like, he is just so cool, so badass. You feel like he's a superhero out there. Like, he sees every angle. He's the smartest guy out there. And that's really what I look for on TV, is something smart. I think that's probably why I liked Bateman in Ozark, and I like Saul, Better Call Saul, and Breaking Bad. It's just, it feels a lot smarter than some of the other TV out there.
The problem they're going to run into, because season 6, I'm pretty sure confirmed. They said they wanted to do 6 seasons. I don't know if they've officially confirmed it, but the plan going in is that season 6 will be the last season. We know essentially how it ends. We know that he becomes Saul Goodman because of the line in Breaking Bad. We know that Saul is fearful of Lalo coming after him something Nacho did. So we don't know exactly what it is, but they are in that corner, kind of like with Breaking Bad, where it's like, okay, we know Walter White dies, we just don't know how. With Saul, it's like, okay, we know, I'm guessing Nacho goes after Lalo in some way and it doesn't work. I guess we do. We don't know what happens, but we know where it's heading, I guess.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the tough thing.
You kind of know that probably something's involved with Kim in there too. Like, it's something's going to happen with her, because we don't get her in Breaking Bad. And she's actually turned out to be a really good character. That's how I've been impressed. Like, when that first season, I was like, how long is she going to be sticking around? But she's been very good. Especially this past season, where she's going all the way bad too with Saul. It's been interesting to see her development. I loved it.
That's amazing. Where every turn with Kim, you think, okay, this is where she's gone. This is where she's out, because she's not in Breaking Bad. She's like, this is where she leaves. This is where she leaves, and it never is. And then I was watching episode 9 with Alba, and my girlfriend said to me, she's like, well, I was so anxious and nervous. Like, I physically felt it, which I rarely do with TV. Yeah. I physically felt nervous. And my girlfriend was like, well, what? Saul lives. And I go, hey, she's not in Breaking Bad. Don't forget that. So the entire scene, you think, well, this is it. She's fucking done. Right. And it was so anxiety filled. Like, I think she'll win the Emmy for Best Supporting Actress, I'm guessing. Purely based on that scene. That's this observer's take.
Putting that in stone.
One
of the questions,
the Gary Lock of the week.
One of the questions I got was, how did Lalo what's his name? So Lalo. I can say it right. I don't watch this show. Lalo. How did he become such an essential character?
Because in Breaking Bad, they say so when Walt and Jesse kidnap Saul thinks that Lalo is the one kidnapping him. He says, Lalo, no Lalo. It was Ignacio, no Lalo. And so the Breaking Bad writer, like Vince Gilligan, says he knows that show, Better Call Saul, has to be heading towards someone named Lalo doing something. They don't even know what it is. They claim, but that's why Lalo is now an essential character. If you mean how did he actually? It's because he's a Salamanca, and he's Saul. I mean, not Saul. Gus's rival, essentially. Like Gus and Lalo are enemies right now.
And that's the impressive part is that, you get this throwaway line in Breaking Bad, and then they don't introduce this character until season 4 of Better Call Saul. Right. So it's interesting to watch how they don't seem to have like the pacing of the show. It seems like they don't have the groundwork for a lot of different things. It seems like they're just kind of like going how they go, and they'll figure it out later. But then there's other deep levels to it that they've already had this stuff in place. It's interesting to see how they do that, man. Like
Well, the most interesting thing is after you, like if you binge Saul, to go back and watch Breaking Bad afterwards and see all the little things they put in. Like there's a throwaway line at the beginning of season 1, might even be the first episode, where Hank mentions something about this guy, Dog Paulson, who's a rival of Tuco Salamanca. Yeah. And it's just kind of a throwaway line. That Dog Paulson becomes the entire focal point for a story about how Ignacio is afraid of going against Tuco and why Mike has to get Tuco to go to jail. Like, it's brilliant that they even could think of that to go all the way back and link those two things. Like, it's unbelievable how they did that, and that there's very little plot holes.
Last question that I got is, will Jimmy and Kim take down Howard, and how will they do it?
Oh, well, we were going to do this drip, drip, drop, right? Is that what we're playing after this? I forgot to do it with the other two shows. I guess we can do it with Better Call Saul. It's actually better to do it with only one show because we're kind of going a little long here. Yeah. But Howard would be the one guy, like he's a good actor, that Howard, but he would be my drip, where it's like you don't really need him for anything. Like Jimmy is kind of torturing him for some reason. Yep. But well, you know what? Based on what they say in the last episode, I guess they will be going after Howard. So we'll see how much that matters. But as of right now, there's no logical reason why Howard is still in the show.
Now, speaking of Howard, Mike, do you know where he was the actor? Do you know where what he starred in?
No, he looks very familiar.
Okay, so
I always said he would play a good Kirk Herbstreit.
He looks just like Kirk Herbstreit,
right?
He's tremendous. Now, Patrick Fabian, where he fell on, he's on my radar, is because he was on Saved by the Bell, the college years.
I love the college years. Yes. I love the college years.
He was the good-looking professor who Zach had the rivalry.
How fucking old is he?
He's up there. I'm going to look him up right now. Anyway, so he's born in 1964.
Wow, Jesus, he does not look that old.
No, he looks
handsome
good.
Fella.
And he's
Patrick Fabian.
I was a big fan of Saved by the Bell college years, so I was happy to see him make his triumphant return. And he's a total asshole, and I love that. He's a funny character.
All right, so those are our reviews of Ozark, Too Hot to Handle, and Better Call Saul. Hope you enjoyed them. I hope they didn't bother you too much. And if they did, why are you watching this long? Why are you still watching Warden of the North? Just to get me looking like an asshole? Is that why?
Yes.
To hurt me? Yep. Is that what you want to do?
That's what he wants.
There's just no reason for it. Just stop watching if you don't like it. That's fine.
The Warden watches everything. He's the all-watching eye. He's Sauron.
So it wasn't drip drip dry, Mike.
Drip drip dry?
It wasn't that. So we're gonna
drip drip drop. That's what he said.
Drip, drip, drop. There you go. Right? Thank you.
Did I say it wrong?
You said it wrong. It's good day, bad day, total drip. That's what we're going with.
So what we're doing is stealing segments from the intern show. So.
Yeah.
Did they do that? All right, we're not doing it. I'm glad I skipped it then. What we will do is a segment that I'm sure other people that I'm sure I'm stealing from someone. But we want to deconstruct or ruin either a show or character for you. We don't even have a name for this. We just kind of threw it together before the show. But it's something I love doing. It's basically just breaking apart a character that people like or find funny, or a show that is unanimously loved, and picking apart the little details that people don't necessarily pick up on. With this one, I think it's a little easier. It might be out there, but everyone loves and thinks that April on Parks and Rec is so hilarious and does a great job. I figured in honor of Peacock coming out, and they announced, which I think sadly is going to be awful, they announced a coronavirus special of Parks and Rec. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, no.
It's going to be like in honor of COVID-19. So it's just going to be like a Zoom conference with all the main characters.
Oh.
It's going to be rough. So in honor of that, I wanted to pick apart April and just point out to people that the next time you watch that show, especially in the later seasons, think about the fact that this woman at every turn is there to thwart the plans of this group. And her mentor, who she claims the only person she ever says she loves is Leslie Knope, who is nothing but good to her. She has to be a sarcastic asshole all the time. She torches this poor fucking Anne, who never did anything to her other than date her husband before her. Like, there's nothing that Anne did wrong. Yeah. And it's just at every turn, you want to say, April, for a second, could you just fucking try? By the end of the show, she's 30 years old. You're not a child anymore. You're married. She has kids by the fucking finale. Just have an adult thought in your head for once. Can you just fucking try for one? This is what people scream at me online every day when they're listening to the podcast. How about you just fucking wake up and try, April? That's what infuriates me about that character.
If they could only call in to April's show and ask her, why does she suck so bad?
Why do you suck so bad? That's what April needed. There's a good kick in the ass. Because what I want you to do, people, is every time you watch that show, when they're trying to get something done, and April comes in with one of her quips or her dark satirical comments, it's like, hey, they're trying to get something done here in kind of a time-sensitive fashion. And they gave you a job. How about you just put away the shtick for a second and you try, April? Is that so fucking difficult?
Quit being such a smart ass, April. All right, knock it off. But this is the thing, Mike. Is she's gorgeous? I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah, that's always.
She's pretty cute. I'll give her that.
You know, so she gets away with it. That's how that goes.
I mean, she is the reason. Chris and what's her name break up? April or Chris and Ann. Chris and Ann
she's a homewrecker also.
She's a homewrecker.
And she hates Anne because of it. For some reason.
She's always the meanest to Jerry, I would say. Always. Like, she means it, I think, when she's mean to Jerry.
Right.
Gary.
That's the other thing. The other people kind of feel bad. April tortures the men.
Yeah.
And it's over the
she's
line.
Like, hop in the car. We watch Jerry eat soup and fall off shit. But, like, I hate that, like, the first time I saw the girl who plays her is in Funny People, and I hated her character in that.
Oh, really? I didn't think she was that bad. You have to take away the second half of that movie. The second half of that movie.
I love Funny People. I love.
But I thought for an actress, I did not think she was that bad as a stand-up. You know what I mean? Like, they should have just gotten a stand-up to do it. But like, as an actress playing a stand-up, I thought she was all right.
Yeah. See, but then now I watched Parks and Rec and I love her in that movie. You know what I mean? So like, I understood her character more, but like at the time I saw that movie, but like April in the show is just that classic teenage girl that you're just like, no one cares that you're like, it's not cool to not try.
No, it's just
like,
shut the fuck up. And you're not a teenager anymore. You're fucking 30.
Yeah.
Grow up,
like, when I started loving April in like the later seasons when she was like trying and shit, and like she started caring and shit, and like Andy made her so much better.
But even then, she just can't break the shtick. It's like eventually you just gotta drop it.
Know what I love though, when she's giving her baby in the last episode, and she's just dressed fully like what's her name from she's dressed
like
fully.
That's perfect. I hate that you love that. It's because it's like, hey, April, you're having a kid. How about take it seriously for a second?
Yeah.
Enough of that. Yeah. Enough of the shtick. As Ryan says to Jim in The Office. How about you drop the Jim shtick for a while? You might like how it feels.
And she like led on Andy for so long. Like, I hated that. Like, Andy's the most pure and beautiful person in the world. Right. Like, don't do that to that guy. If I was like, well, I was on set acting as John Ralphio. I wish I went up to her and said, you know,
I should mention,
treat him better.
I should mention, while we're shitting on Parks and Rec here, Jean Ralphio, Ben Schwartz, great. I shouldn't say great. Very good show on Netflix right now. Middleditch and Schwartz. It's just a 2-man improv show. If you don't like improv, you'll hate it. but I think they do a really good job with it. That's worth checking out as well. Middleditch and Schwartz.
Definitely. I like Ben Schwartz a lot. He's a real good actor.
Now, I don't know if you actually saw this, Mike, because you're not an April fan, but did you watch Aubrey Plaza in Ingrid Goes West?
No.
That Hulu movie? It's actually, I recommend it. It's very good. It's like
what else she's good in? The movie with De Niro where he's Zac Efron's grandpa.
Bad Grandpa?
Yeah.
I love her in that movie.
You seem like the target audience for that.
Oh,
you seem like the guy they made that movie for.
Yeah, definitely. I was on the floor laughing. No, she's just like this. She just like is constantly trying to bang De Niro. Like she's the first one who like looks at him. And she's like, I kind of want to fuck him. I don't know.
Like that. I respect.
Yeah, no, she's just like the out of the blue whore for De Niro, and I was like, you know what, I would bang De Niro. So I kind of relate to this girl.
All right, but next time when you watch the awful Parks and Rec special, try to watch April with that lens and see if you like her as much.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll end on this note, a thing I think we'll try and do weekly. If anyone wants to suggest an awful show to us, we will mix that into the reviews. So next week, the show that was pitched to me, I just told you guys this before the show. So the show we're going to watch for next week in review is The Big Show Show.
Okay.
It stars, if you're familiar with WWE, The Big Show. From the wrestler, The Big
Show starring The Big Show.
It's not what I assumed it was a reality show, like Hulk Hogan or any of that shit. Apparently what it is, it's on Netflix, is a laugh track sitcom where The Big Show plays himself like he was The Big Show.
This is awesome.
But now he's like a wacky dad. Like it's like
I
they
just
couldn't get
imagine
Kevin
him.
James,
I just
so they got
imagine
The Big
him
Show.
just smashing down the door, and then it's like and claps.
The trailer is like it's the kid, and he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, my dad, The Big Show," and it's like, and then everyone applauds.
Yeah, laugh track like studio audience.
Here's the summary. When Big Show's teenage daughter comes to live with him and his wife and two other daughters, he quickly becomes outnumbered and outsmarted, despite being 7 feet tall and weighing 400 pounds. I don't have any idea what that has to do with smarts. He is no longer the center of attention. This is perfect. I love this.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely down for that.
All right, excellent.
Definitely.
That's
right,
also, a lot of people in the comments are, giving us, like spoil it. We don't give a fuck if we are spoiling shit for you, honestly.
No,
not really. Well, you shouldn't watch a show where they're talking about the show if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, so we're here for spoilers.
Go fuck yourselves. I like the show that at the beginning says no one should watch it. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. And then at the end is like, well, the people that stuck around for the whole thing, fuck you.
Go fuck yourself.
Don't worry, our 12 live viewers just dropped to 11. So second by second, we're losing them. Let's end it where we got them.
All right. So watch The Big Show with us. And then if you want to suggest a show next week, tweet at any of the three of us. Let us know what awful show we should watch and review. And we will talk to you next week. Thanks for checking out the first episode of Must See.